Hello there, my crafty friends. It's Ashley Pfeiffer, the maker behind Stamp Data. Here are the 4 designs. So if you purchase the kit, it will be in your hands already. Here are the designs. So without further ado, let's get this show on the road. Let me demonstrate how to make these 4 cards. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. The tutorial is available for a fee, so if you are wanting the measurements and all of the step-by-step instructions, then you can purchase that. I'll have the link in the description below. And again, let's get our craft on. Going to start by stamping the car onto the tag using early espresso ink. I get kind of a grungy look here, but kind of works. Just roughing up the edges of the embossed panel to give it a little bit of a distressed look. I will adhere the embossed panel and then rough up the next panel just a little bit and then adhere that as well. Using my banner's Pick-a-Punch to banner the ends of this little strip. Turns out it is just a little bit too short, so I cut it in half to be able to still use it. I want it to be able to come through the little slots of that frame. I'll pop this up. Going to add a few of the brushed metallic dots. And I want the circle to be a little more visible, so I cut it in half to adhere it to the tag, and then I'll pop that all up. Tie a quick little bow here, add it with a glue dot, and this card is done. Moving on to the next card, I'm going to adhere the DSP to the inside and outside panels. I soon realized I should have scored it at 1 inch, not half an inch, so I will trim it down accordingly. Just going to adhere that using some Stampin' Seal Plus, and then I'm ready to stamp and adhere that inner panel. So I'm going to be doing a little masking so that I have the full sentiment between the front and the inside of the card. Don't get it completely straight, but that's okay. Just going to add a few of those little screws and then adhere this to the inside of the card. Going to build my little tag area. I have adhered that basic black piece. Going to add the little ribbons to my basic white circle and then the DSP. Pop all of that up, and then I will use the rest of that sentiment to emboss onto that basic black tag. This is the new embossing kit. It's amazing. Embossing buddy, the tray, the reverse tweezers, and the brush. Everything else is just extra. So you'll see here I preheat on 2, and then when I go to set my piece, I will lower it to 1. This prevents warping or lessens the amount of warping. And then I just take a little damp baby wipe to get any of that embossing powder, the embossing buddy powder off. Sorry, my voice is a little hoarse because I've been talking too much today. Shocking. Add my little brass brushed dots. And then you can see here, if you have the DSP, you might have one of those hammers. If not, the Vintage Tools stamp set does have a hammer, which is what I am doing here. It's a little bit big, but it works. And then on to card number 3. So this one I changed up a little bit. Initially, I had die cut that opening into the card base, and I thought, you know what? That is a lot of extra work. I am just going to die cut the DSP in that hexagon shape. So that is what I did. So I'm just going to adhere that to the card base. I've got the frame and then those little corner thingies. I can't think of what they're called off the top of my head. Photo corners, I guess. Going to stamp that Hello Handsome onto the tag. Okay, so I'm just going to glue those little corners down, and then I will stamp and emboss that number 1 using a scrap of basic black, Versamark, and some copper powder. I do use a circle punch to get my circle and then decide to fussy cut it just a little bit more. I find it's easier to have the circle punched already. Takes a little bit of the pressure off from getting a perfect circle. I don't know why, just me. So while I'm waiting for my heat tool to heat up, I'm adding that insert, and then I will emboss this. Look how fast. So nice and shiny. Just going to trim some of this twill ribbon down and adhere it to the back of the circle and then pop that up, and then this card is done. We're just flying along.
Oh, before we move on, I'm just adding some Wink of Stella. On my original one, I added some glue, some fine tip glue, and I didn't love it. So for the fourth card, I think this one might be my favorite. We do some DIY DSP. You can see here that I have some rough edges from my trimmer. Sorry for that little camera shake. I'm going to adhere my DSP to the inside and outside. Trim down that little square because it is not quite the right size. So I'm going to mask off the stamp that has the car on it so that I get just the car. I do end up with a tiniest little extra bit, but it's kind of far away. You wouldn't know unless I told you. And I don't know, adds a little bit of character. So here I am gathering the stamps to do that DIY DSP. We're going to do the number one, the screw, and the compass. I've got crushed curry, Cajun craze, and early espresso. And I mentioned it at the beginning, if you would like this step-by-step tutorial with all of the measurements and ink colors used, there will be a link in the description below for you to purchase that. So here I'm just creating that background. I'm going to add a little bit of early espresso spritz at the end. I will trim it down to size and adhere it to the panels. I'm going to adhere just the right side of that early espresso square. Die cut my sentiment. I did pop it up here, but on my original, I think I might have glued it down. And then I'm going to add a brass dot, or I think it's a brass one. I wanted it to be gold, but I do not have any left. So let me know which is your favorite, 1, 2, 3, or 4. And I want to thank you so much for joining me this month, and we'll see you soon, my crafty friends. Bye.